Boom. Let's try sharing again. And of course it moves on you. It goes by. There it is. Yay. Chapter 24. But up on the beach itself, everyone was still happy and excited. I wonder where we'll finish this time. Sorry about that. Somebody else wants to come in. I wonder where we'll finish this time. Who cares? Seagulls always go back to the land sooner or later. Up and up they went, high above the highest clouds, the peach swaying gently from side to side as it floated along. Wouldn't this be a perfect time for a little music? How about it, old grasshopper? With pleasure, dear lady. The old green grasshopper answered, bowing from the waist. Oh, hooray, he's going to play for us, they cried, and immediately the whole company sat themselves down in a circle around the old green musician, and the concert began. From the moment that the first note was struck, the audience became completely spellbound. And as for James, never had he heard such beautiful music as this. In the garden at home on summer evenings, he had listened many times to the sound of grasshoppers chirping in the grass, and he had always liked the noise that they made. But this was a different kind of noise altogether. This was real music, chords, harmonies, tunes, and all the rest of it. And what a wonderful instrument the old green grasshopper was playing on. It was like a violin. It was almost exactly as though he were playing upon a violin. The bow of the violin, the part that moved, was his back leg. The strings of the violin, the part that made the sound, was the edge of his wing. He was using only the top of his back leg, the thigh, and he was stroking this up and down against the edge of his wing with incredible skill. Sometimes slowly, sometimes fast, but always with the same easy flowing action. It was precisely the way a clever violinist would have used his bow. And the music came pouring out and filled the whole blue sky around them with magic melodies. When the first part was finished, everyone clapped madly, and Miss Spider stood up and shouted, Bravo, encore, give us some more. Did you like that, James? The old green grasshopper asked, smiling at the small boy. Oh, I loved it. It was beautiful. It was as though you had a real violin in your hands. A real violin. Goodness heavens, I like that. My dear boy, I am a real violin. It is part of my own body. But do all grasshoppers play their music on violins the way you do? No, not at all. If you want to know, I happen to be a short-horned grasshopper. I have two short feelers coming out of my head. Can you see them? There they are. They are quite short, aren't they? That's why they call me Shorthorn. And we shorthorns are the only ones who play our music in the violin style. Using a bow, my long-horned relatives, the ones who have long, curly feelers coming out of their heads, make their music simply by rubbing the edges of their two top wings together. They are not violinists. They are wing rubbers. And a rather inferior noise these wing rubbers produce too, if I may say so. It sounds more like a banjo than a fiddle. Oh, how fascinating this all is. And to think up until now, I never even wondered how a grasshopper made his sounds. My dear young fellow, there are a whole lot of things in this world of ours that you haven't started wondering about yet. Where, for example, do you think I keep my ears? Your ears? Why, in your head, of course. Everyone burst out laughing. You mean you don't even know that? Cried the centipede. Try again, said the old green grasshopper, smiling at James. You can't possibly keep them anywhere else. Oh, can't I? Well, I give up. Where do you keep them? Right here. One on each side of my tummy. It's not true. Of course it's true. What's so peculiar about that? You ought to see where my cousins the crickets and the katydids keep theirs. Well, where do they keep them? In their legs. One in each front leg just below the knee. You mean you didn't know that either? The centipede said scornfully. You're joking. Nobody can possibly have ears in his legs. Why not? Because it's ridiculous, that's why? You know what I think is ridiculous? The centipede said, grinning away as usual. I don't mean to be rude, but I think it's ridiculous to have ears on the sides of one head. It certainly looks ridiculous. You ought to take a peek in the mirror someday and see for yourself. Pest. Why must you always be so rude and rambunctious to everyone? You ought to apologize to James at once. James didn't want the earthworm and the centipede to get into another argument. So he said quickly to the earthworm, Tell me, do you play any music, any kind of music? No, but I do other things, some of which are really quite extraordinary, the earthworm said, brightening. Such as what? Gotta let Arjun in. Well, next time you stand in a field or in a garden and look around you, then just remember this. Every grain of soil upon the surface of the land, every tiny little bit of soil that you can see, has actually passed through the body of an earthworm during the last few years. Isn't that wonderful? It's not possible. My dear boy, it's a fact. You mean you actually swallow soil? Like mad. In one end and out the other. But what's the point? What do you mean, what's the point? Why do you do it? We do it for the farmers. It makes the soil nice and light and crumbly so that things will grow well in it. If you really want to know, the farmers couldn't do without us. We are essential. We are vital. So it's only natural that the farmer should love us. He loves us even more, I believe, than he loves the ladybug. The ladybug? Do they love you too? Oh, I'm told they do, the ladybug answered, modestly blushing all over. In fact, I understand that in some places the farmers love us so much that they go out and buy live ladybugs by the sackful and take them home and set them free in their fields. They are very pleased when they have lots of ladybugs in their fields. But why? Because we gobble up all the nasty little insects that are gobbling up all the farmers' crops. It helps enormously, and we ourselves don't charge a penny for our services. Well, I think you're wonderful. Can I ask you one special question? Please do. Well, is it really true that you can tell how old a ladybug is by counting her spots? Oh no, that's just a children's story. We never change our spots. Some of us, of course, are born with more spots than others, but we never change them. The number of spots that a ladybug has is simply a way of showing which branch of the family she belongs to. I, for example, as you can see for yourself, am a nine-spotted ladybug. I'm very lucky. It's a fine thing to be. It is indeed, said James, gazing at the beautiful scarlet shell with the 9 black spots on it. On the other hand, the ladybug went on, some of my less fortunate relatives have no more than 2 spots altogether on their shells. Can you imagine that? They are called 2-spotted ladybugs, and very common and ill-mannered they are, I regret to say. And then, of course, you have the 5-spotted ladybugs as well. They are much nicer than the 2-spotted ones, although I myself find them a trifle too saucy for my own taste. But they're all loved? Yes, they are all of them loved. It seems that almost everyone around here is loved. How nice this is. Not me, cried the centipede happily. I'm a pest and proud of it. And I'm such a shocking, dreadful pest. Hear, hear. But what about you, Miss Spider? Aren't you also much loved in the world? Alas, no, Miss Spider answered, sighing long and loud. I'm not loved at all. And yet I do nothing but good. All day long I catch flies and mosquitoes in my webs. I am a decent person. I know you are. It's very unfair the way we spiders are treated. Why, only last week your horrible Aunt Sponge flushed my poor dear father down the plug hole in the bathtub. Oh, how awful. I watched the whole thing from a corner up in the ceiling. It was ghastly. We never saw him again. A large tear rolled down her cheek and fell with a splash on the floor. But is it not very unlucky to kill a spider? James inquired, looking around at the others. Of course it's unlucky to kill a spider. It's about unluckiest thing anyone can do. Look what happened to Aunt Sponge after she'd done that. Boom! We all felt it, didn't we? As the peach went over her. Oh, what a lovely bump that must have been for you, Miss Spider. It was very satisfactory. Will you sing us a song about it, please? So the centipede did. Aunt Sponge was terrifically fat, and tremendously fattly at that. Her tummy and waist were soggy as paste. It was worse on the place where she sat. So she said, I must make myself flat. I must make myself sleek as a cat. I shall do without dinner to make myself thinner, but along came the peach. Oh, the beautiful peach! It made her far thinner than that. That was very nice, Miss Spider said. Now sing one about Aunt Spiker. With pleasure. Aunt Spiker was thin as a wire, and as dry as a bone, only drier. She was so long and thin, if you carried her in, you could use her for poking the fire. I must do something quickly, she frowned. I want fat. I want pound upon pound. I must eat lots and lots of marshmallows and chocks till I start bulging all around. Ah, yes, she announced, I have sworn that I'll alter my figure by dawn, cried the peach with a snigger. I'll alter your figure and iron her out on the lawn. Everyone clapped, and called out for more songs from the centipede, who had once launched into his favorite song of all. Once upon a time when pigs were swine and monkeys chewed tobacco and hens took snuff to make themselves stuff and the ducks said quack, quack, quacko, and porcupines drank fiery wines and goats ate tapioca and old Mother Hubbard got stuck in. Oh, look out, centipede, look out. Chapter 26. The centipede, who had been dancing wildly around the deck during the song, had suddenly gone too close to the downward curving edge of the peach, and for 3 awful seconds he had stood teetering on the brink, swinging his legs frantically in circles in an effort to stop himself from falling over backward into space. But before anyone could reach him, down he went. He gave a shriek of terror as he fell, and the others, rushing to the side and peering over, saw his poor long body tumbling over and over through the air, getting smaller and smaller until it was out of sight. "Silkworm, start spinning, quick!" The silkworm sighed, for she was still very tired from spinning all that silk for the seagulls, but she did as she was told. "I'm going down after him," cried James, grabbing the silk string as it started coming off the silkworm and tying the end of it around his waist. "The rest of you hold on to the silkworm so I don't pull her over with me, and later on, if you feel 3 tugs on the string, start hauling me up again." He jumped, and he went tumbling down after the centipede, down, down, down toward the sea below. And you can imagine how quickly the silkworm had to spin to keep up with the speed of his fall. "We'll never see either of them again. Oh dear, just when we were all so happy too." Miss Spider, the glowworm, and the ladybug all began to cry. So did the earthworm. "I don't care about that centipede, but I really did love that little boy." Very softly, the old green grasshopper started to play the funeral march on his violin. Dun, 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 dun. And by the time he had finished, everyone, including himself, was in a flood of tears. But suddenly there came 3 sharp tugs on the rope. "Pull! Everyone must get behind me and pull!" There was about a mile of string to be hauled in, but they all worked like mad, and in the end, over the side of the peach, there appeared a dripping wet James with the dripping wet centipede, clinging to him tightly with all 42 of his legs. "He saved me! He swam around in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean until he found me!" "My dear boy, I do congratulate you," the old green grasshopper said, patting James on the back. "My boots! Just look at my precious boots! They are ruined by the water!" "Be quiet! You're lucky to be alive." "Are we still going up and up?" "We certainly are, and it's beginning to get dark." "I know, it'll soon be night." "Why don't we all go down below and keep warm until tomorrow morning?" "No, I think that it would be unwise. It will be safer if we all stayed up here through the night and kept watch. Then if anything happens, we shall anyway be ready for it." The end of chapter 26. All right, let's jump right into the agenda or the daily lesson plan today. So let's take a peek at it. It's a light day. It's a Friday. And again, I'm going to be calling on some of you to read these definitions. Now, James found out some quite scientific things about the insect characters in these chapters. Beyond the fact that they were magical insects now, they still had characteristics of real insects. So what did he learn from the insects? What do you think James is learning about himself so far that he never would have learned with the 2 ants? Pretty heroic. Here's the mistake. We will focus on the pink highlighted terms today. So instead of making this word into cyan, which I should have done, I forgot to. But those are the ones right here. We have free verse, rhythm, and symbol. Let's see. Oh, Swati, you're in here twice. How's that possible? How is that possible? All right, Chloe, can you read free verse? Chloe, are you there? Chloe. Very interesting. Wyatt, are you there?
Yeah.
Okay, could you read free verse, please?
Free verse. Poetry that is not confined by rhythm or rhyme.
Thank you very much. Whoever is drawing on this, you need to stop that right now. Stop that right now. Thank you. Anderson, could you read rhythm? Anderson? Anderson, are you there? Upton, could you read that? I'm not quite sure what's happening right now, other than the fact that I'm either being ignored or you really can't hear me. Chloe, can you hear me? Chloe. Chloe. Can you hear me? Chloe, can you hear me? Okay, I'm not sure what's going on right now. I'm going to stop the share right now. Okay. And I'm going to unmute everybody. Why can't some of you hear me? Can you all hear me?
I can hear you. Maybe some people don't have a microphone.
Okay. Yeah. If you're part of the Zoom, you have to have a microphone on your computer. You do. I promise you.
I have a microphone.
So make sure I ask you to talk.
Same.
Talk. So I'm gonna mute you all again.
Same.
I can hear you.
Allow you to unmute yourself. Let's go back. Okay, let's try this again. Who wants to read symbol? Let's have Chloe. Chloe, unmute yourself. Go ahead. Chloe, we can't hear you. You've got your microphone turned off because you've spoken into the microphone before. This has worked before, so I don't understand why it's not working now. Who is HPBV? Who is that? Who is HPBV?
I think that might be Peyton.
Peyton, is that you? Chloe, can you hear me? Not if you can hear me. Why aren't you talking then? Talk. Yeah, I can't hear you. I don't know why I can't hear you. Arjun, could you read symbol for us?
Okay. Okay. Symbol is a thing that represents or stands for something else, especially a material object representing something abstract. Example: the limousine was another symbol of wealth and authority.
Thank you. We got through that. Finally. Goodness gracious. No editing today. Grammar practice is types of verbs, action verbs, linking verbs, and helping verbs. There's a little slide share and then another little quiz to test you on the types of verbs. The big assignment for today is independent reading book report long ago and far away. Now, people in my homeroom were saying they can't type into the box. Now, if you run into trouble with your Bagby daily assignment, you can ask me immediately what the problem is. But here's what you could do. You simply have to, you can just copy everything that's on there, repaste it in another place in the document, and then answer the questions. Because really what I'm looking for doesn't necessarily have to be in the box. I'm looking for you to write 2-sentence summaries for all 5 sections. Stop writing on the screen, please. What was your favorite part of the book? What did you learn about ancient Rome that you didn't know? And then use 3 words from the glossary in sentences. If you remember the elements of nonfiction books, you have a glossary at the end of the book, and pick 3 words that you like and write sentences for them. Moving down. Free verse poems, rhythm poems, symbols poems. A free verse poem sounds exactly the way what it means. It's free. It's not bound by any rules at all. Haikus, cinquains, couplets, they all have rules, poetic rules that you have to follow for it to be a couplet or a haiku. But free verse can be any way you want it. So I wrote one. I stared at the sky. The sky stared back at me and asked, "What are you staring at, little boy?" "Well, I don't know," I answered. "Well, don't you know it's impolite to stare?" the sky scolded. "Can't people just look up?" I responded. "Oh, please keep looking up. I like the attention," the sky replied. So even though it doesn't have rules here, you have alliteration, ska and ska, sky scolded, sky replied, assonance in there, but there's no rhythm. There's really no rhyming. It's a free verse poem. Rhythm. If you want to get a rhythm going in a poem, in your own poem, find a poem where you like the rhythm. Like, under the spreading chestnut tree, the village smith he stands. It has a rhythm to it. So that's one rhythm. Then you have tiger, tiger, burning bright in the forest of the night. You have different rhythms for different types of poems. A symbol is used in a poem to mean something else. It's kind of like a metaphor. The sunflower in this little poem stands for the idea of time because the sunflower's face follows the sun as it goes around throughout the day. Ah, sunflower, weary of time, who counts and follows the steps of the sun, seeking after that sweet golden climb where the traveler's journey is done. Okay, on the gifted thinking skills, if you click on that, you can make these as big as you want. You can enlarge those as large as you want. And they're really high quality, so they'll get really big without pixelation. So you have to find the shapes inside the pictures. There's the crayon in yesterday's drawing, and there is the pair of gloves right there. Raise your hand if you got that right. Nothing in ancient Rome except the book report. No quizzes, do the book report. Estimate in your house. This is fun. How many things do you have to plug in your house? What do you think your estimate is? Then go around and count them and see how close you were. You'll be amazed how much we depend upon electricity. These animals and the fun facts of the day are the most amazing animals I've ever seen. So have fun with that. At this time, we're going to stop this share, and I'm going to all.
I think I might have like 22 or 21. I'm not too sure.
Okay, and I'm going to allow you to unmute yourself. Chloe, do you have something to share today? But we still can't hear you.
Can't hear you. Just got
Chloe,
back.
can we hear you?
Oopsie, I was back. I wasn't here.
I'm not sure what's going on with Chloe's microphone, but what do you got there, Chloe? Did you want to hold it up? Wow.
Hyena.
That is excellent. Is that your drawing?
Didn't mean to do that. Sorry.
Is that your drawing? Excellent. I don't know why I can't hear you. I think it's a setting on your laptop or your whatever you're using. Okay.
I was gone.
Okay. Yeah, you were gone. You're back now, though. Let's see. I don't think, is Peyton in here?
Yeah, her name's HP.BV.
Peyton, are you there? Because you were here earlier this week and we could see you.
Yeah, I saw her earlier in the meeting.
So Peyton, are you here?
I think
Makes this feel better.
She probably clicked don't show video and before.
Okay, how about Wyatt? Wyatt, you're up for sharing too. Wyatt, do you have something?
I'm still trying to work on mine. I'm trying to make it like really good because I'm doing a drawing and a poem that goes with the drawing.
Okay,
I'm trying to make.
We'll be expecting to hear you from that. Okay.
Who else is today?
Anybody else sharing today? No.
Are
there any questions? You can unmute yourself if you have any questions about anything.
Mr. Bagley, I didn't share yet. Mr.
Who's that? Who said that?
Viga.
Viga, go ahead.
I made this drawing from art.
Okay, let's get you up on the screen here. Where'd you go, Viga? There you are. Okay, so you made that for your art class?
Get a pen here.
Yeah, I made it for art.
For Miss Marquis?
Yeah.
Excellent. I like that.
Okay, nice.
Anybody else have anything to share?
I'm gonna go show mine desert landscape. Yeah.
I have a question.
Mr.
I-
Bag.
Yes, Viga.
So for the ancient Rome, so you know how you said that some of your students are saying that you can't click inside the box, you can't write inside the block?
Some people can't for some reason.
Yeah.
Other people
So
can't.
is it okay if we just write it on a paper?
Of course. You can always write it and take a picture of it and attach it. Okay? So we talked about that at the very beginning. If you don't like the typing, you can write it out, take a picture or scan it, and then send it to me or upload it into your assignment.
Okay, Damien has a question, by the way.
Damien,
Oh,
do you have a
Mr. Baggy.
question? Go ahead.
So it's not about any of the school stuff. It's just something in my book. So it's I don't know how to pronounce it, but I'll type it in the chat for you, but I don't know how to pronounce it. But like there's this word in the word that I sent you is in my book, and it's
Oh,
like
it's just demon.
Yeah,
It's just another, it's a fancy way to spell the word demon.
Oh, but I was kind of wondering, because I'm like, wait, is it Diomon or like what? Because it's kind of like hard. It's kind of hard to understand what it is in my book because I'm reading his dark material, so it's kind of hard to understand.
Okay. That's how you pronounce it.
Please, the facility is the best.
Anybody else?
I got VIB.
Lena has a question.
Cool.
I got nuclear waste today.
I was gonna get VIP, but
Can I share
Hey,
something
you got
with
nuclear
y'all?
waste?
Yeah, I got nuclear waste.
Finally.
Finally.
Lena, did you want to share? Lena, did you want to share something? Hmm.
She's not in the camera.
Yeah, she's still here.
She's not on her like
All right,
laptop or
Fabian.
computer.
Fabian, do you have a question?
Yeah.
Share it.
When I did I do yesterday's assignment right? Was there anything wrong?
From what I saw, you completed it all. So good job with that.
dang.
What about the old ones?
I will get back with you on that in your private channel, okay?
Okay.
Nice drawing, Lena.
I have a lot of them.
Okay, we're coming
This
down
is
to
my
the end of
last
this.
one.